What does it take to negotiate $1 million contracts and manage the careers of pro athletes? Today's guest knows firsthand. She's managed the careers of players in the CFL, UFL, and NFL. Get ready for real stories, real lessons, and powerful advice for athletes, aspiring agents, and go-getters in any field. Let's jump into the Millz Spill. Rasheeda Liberty is a powerhouse executive and trailblazer who seamlessly blends her corporate, philanthropic, and entrepreneurial expertise to excel as a sports agent and leader. As founder and CEO of Lady Lib Sports Entertainment, she champions athletes and entertainers by offering comprehensive services spanning contract negotiation, legal consultation, marketing endorsement, and charitable brand development. A proud Baltimore native raised in Milwaukee, Rasheeda has built a career rooted in excellence and purpose. She brings more than 2 decades of leadership experience into Fortune 500 companies, including Gannett Media, Mars Inc., and Amazon, where she made history as the first Black woman to serve as senior finance leader for North America Customer Fulfillment. She now leads community and partnership engagement at Amazon, leveraging her deep experience in finance, strategy, and relationship management. Her impact extends far beyond the corporate world. As the 25th International President of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Inc., Rasheeda led one of the nation's largest service organizations, successfully fulfilling a $1 million gift commitment to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, where she also became the first Black woman to serve on its professional advisory board. Armed with a Bachelor of Science in Accounting from Marquette University, an MBA, and law school training, Rasheeda's diverse background enables her to bring both strategic and empathetic insight to her clients. Her unique perspective as a woman in a male-dominated industry, coupled with her reputation for integrity and business acumen, positions her as a respected force in sports representation. Driven, visionary, and deeply committed to empowering others, Rasheeda S. Liberty continues to redefine what leadership looks like on and off the field. Good afternoon, Rasheeda. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Busy as usual.
All right, all right. We're so happy to have you here on the Millz Spill. Welcome to the Millz Spill. For those who are watching, go ahead and like and subscribe. We're here with Rasheeda Liberty, who is the CEO and founder of Lady Lib Sports. So let's get into your backstory. Where did it all begin? Where did all this inspiration to start this? Where did it all come from?
I'll be honest, I've always been, so I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I know people are like, wait a minute. The first thing people say is when they see me from Wisconsin, they're like, wait a minute, there's like, yes, there's tons of us up there, by the way. There's tons of people who look like me.
T-Pain said Wisconsin.
But I don't know where people get that Wisconsin, because we do not speak like that. No. But so I always was a Packers fan. You cannot live in Wisconsin and not be a Packers fan. Every once in a while we get some Chicago Bears transplants in there. Sports was not something I participated in, but something I always enjoyed just as a young girl. I went to Marquette University basketball school. Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler, like basketball school. But the fact that I went and did accounting, I knew I always wanted to kind of manage money, manage people. And so I did accounting. I did an MBA at Marquette, and I also attended law school at Marquette. So it kind of grew me up into that corporate world, and I started doing contracts, a lot of contractual negotiations, sales negotiations, things like that. And so that kind of put the I guess put the background, the corporate prowess that I would call in me to be a negotiator and be very hard charged with dealing with people who didn't necessarily look like me and were probably male, primarily white males. I'll just say it like that. And so my husband, fast forward many, many years, my husband is a coach, married a coach. Who does that, right? He coached high school initially when we were first getting married. He coached, then he transitioned to pro, and then he coached a little bit NFL. Then he went to college. He's still a college coach. Being a coach's wife, you're going to deal with young men in and out of your home. You're going to deal with their problems, their issues, and you're kind of in that motherly role as the coach's wife. and taking care of the young men. My husband said, you need to take that negotiation prowess that you use in corporate America to build brands to help build these young men. And so that's my story. That's really where it began. And then I've been in corporate America. I was in corporate America for 25, 30 years. So I've always been a master negotiator and really could build brands that many people see. So when you think of M&M's, Snickers, Pedigree Dog Food, Caesar, several of those brands, Wrigley Spearmint Gum, Extra Gum, I sold all of those brands or built those brands from a marketing finance perspective and then sold them to the big entities like Walmart, Target to put on their shelves. And so here I am.
Awesome. That's wow.
That was long, wasn't it?
Hey, listen, that is a powerful story though. That's a power couple. That's what you call power couple when you're heading in a direction your husband could see something in you that you had in you already, but then he's like, "Hey, why don't you ever think about this?"
Yes, yes. He was like, you're really good at it.
I read somewhere where 1% of agents in the NFL are women,
Yeah.
and less than 1% of that are black women.
Oh, I'm talking Miller, right? There may only be maybe 20 of us, and the majority of them work for agencies. They don't have their own agency. They work for other people.
Hmm. How do you overcome as far as like the emotions going into something like that? I can imagine that it's might be it could be intimidating for some. You know, going
Mhm.
in, you're the only one that looks like you. You're going in there against, it's already a competitive field. How does that feel going into there, and how do you overcome whatever feelings you're having to really take charge and do that?
Yeah, I would say because I kind of that story, right? You grew up in Wisconsin, so I grew up with a lot of people who didn't look like me, right? But having worked in corporate America in that finance realm, see, you define yourself when I felt like why I was so successful in corporate America, it was because I had that finance background. Finance is very black and white, no pun intended, right? Either you're gonna help the people make money or you're gonna help them lose money. And I was always the person who can help organizations make money. And then when I went into the marketing finance side of it, it was more like, what do we put on television? How do we build? And I worked in a world where there weren't a lot of people who looked like me. I was always the only woman, and I was definitely always the only black woman. Um, I always held a seat at the table as the lonely only. And so that was kind of that's kind of been the gist of it. And um that helped me tremendously when I went into this industry because there was very little to no intimidation because I was used to working with people who did not look like me. And I will say with the NFL, what has been so unique with the GMs and the player personnel, front offices that have accepted me, they almost invite me in because I am different. I represent something different. I'm not the same old person or same image that's coming to them, right? I'm not Jerry Maguire. I'm Rasheeda Liberty. And so they at times will help with situations. They will call me, give me leads. They will tell me straight up, like, no, I don't like your guy. But it has been a very open communication, which has allowed me not to be intimidated in those spaces. I'm very strong and it's kind of like second nature because of the work I've done previously.
Was there any mindset stepping into leadership roles?
I would say I wanted to always make sure that I wasn't the only one. So I think there's something that happens in you naturally when you are the lonely only in the room, or should happen, is that there can't be only one of us. So how do you make sure that you make such an impact that you create more opportunities? I've done that in every business I have worked with, is to create more opportunities for others to who look like me to kind of be that inspiration, but not to be the only one at the table. I want to be joined by others.
Did you always see yourself as a business owner, even as like,
No, 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 never. No, my mother was a hustler. Now, my mother she owned beauty salons, she sold jewelry, she made jewelry, she cooked and catered. Like I saw the entrepreneurship in her. She always could do something with her hands or make something work. But I always felt like, nope, I want to be stable, able, right? I want to have that career, I want to have my insurance, and my husband being a coach, they are all over the place, right? We see it every day. Coaches get fired. He's used to, oh, we're not going to be there anymore. And he's not worried about it. He's always getting another job. He always gets another job. And so I wanted to develop that comfort. It's here. It's here. I always say one day you're baking a cake for a friend, and then the next day her other friend is asking for a cake, and then a family's asking for a cake. All of a sudden you're running a cake business.
Hmm.
That's exactly what happened with the agency.
Wow. I'm a person myself. I've had a hard time taking risks in business and doing something, stepping out on my own and doing
Yeah.
something. And, maybe this might fail. I don't know. And the fear of that, was there something specific? Did you read any books? Are there any
Hmm.
philosophies or anything that you kind of live by that kind of helped you to overcome that fear?
I tell this story to people all the time, and it's my faith story when it came down to like deciding on a career and whether I was going to start a business and things like that. I work for a company. I call work for Mars. That's the company that I did a lot of work with. People know them mostly by their candy bars, right? Snickers, M&Ms, etc. And I left that business without a job. I actually didn't get a job that I wanted. I felt like I deserved a job. I was making a lot of money, so they weren't decreasing my pay. In fact, would probably increase my pay. But the problem was they weren't giving me the scope that I wanted to be the influencer. And I went home and I told my husband, I think I'm gonna have to quit my job. And he said, okay. And then I woke him up and said, hey, I want to read this resignation. And he said, wait a minute, you quitting your job now? And I was like, yeah, and I wrote my resignation letter, walked away from that job without another job. And people thought I was crazy. But that, I think I left on that or announced it like that Monday. By that Wednesday, I had an interview request. This company had been hunting me down like crazy. I ended up working for that monstrosity of an entity. That's where I learned that the job is not your provider. God is your provider. That's just a means to an end. If he's been taking care of me all these years, that job is not my crutch. He's gonna still take care of me. Now it may be rocky, but he's going to take care of me. And so I use that philosophy even with the agency, even though I have others, I have stable income coming in as well. But the agency is my baby. It's my passion project. It is a big piece of my life.
Now, have you had any mentors?
I have different business mentors from all over. So Dr. Kamika Smith, she runs the Boss Network, very powerful network of entrepreneurs. I've asked questions, used her resources, and the Boss Network is a very good organization. I actually asked other agents as well for their advisement. So I went through Agency Academy with Chris Cabot, who is Pat Mahomes' agent. I actually just saw Chris at the Texans game. So weird to see that years later, but I watch how he handled things even in just so small moments. I was with him with Pat because Pat was a brand new draft pick. Nobody knew that he was going to grow into who he is, but he had Pat and everything was around that. And I won every negotiation in that academy. And so I thought, I could always call Chris. When I told him I wanted to go on my own and kind of do my own thing, he said, call me if you ever get in any trouble. I've never had to call him.
Mhm.
Never had to call him. And then I call her my baby sis, Christina Canoe. CKC Consulting. She is a great business coach. She probably doesn't even realize it, but she's been on her own for 10 years and she's much younger than me. And she's been able to support her family, her son, now newly married, etc. I think watching other people do it has been an inspiration.
How do you define success personally versus professionally?
Ooh, I'm a legacy builder. I want to build legacy for me and my family, and I want to build a foundation so my kids can see that, right? And my kids, my next generations, because that's really what I'm building for now. Now, legacy in the work that I do with the agency for these young men, I want to change generations. And you can change generations with just a insert of wealth. Now, common sense with the wealth, but insert a wealth. These young men are making a lot of money. I haven't negotiated an NFL contract under 2.9, about 2.9 million. I mean, although millions can be spent very quickly, right? You're not rich, but that insert of what you can do and who you are building after the football career is what will be important with that wealth.
That's another thing. Your agency, you all help direct them, not just while they're playing sports, but also afterward.
Yeah, post career. So we have new college coaches. We have guys that have started their own business and logistics. We have, oh man, there's so many career. I had one of my players called me yesterday and they're looking at doing a smoothie business. The fact that he's thinking about what I can own and who I can be after football, he's currently playing. So he's currently contracted, but he's already thinking about what's next. And so we're helping them with that post career transition. Also, getting their degree, finishing their education. We only have had, I think, 2 or 3 of our guys that don't have degrees. But most of our guys do have degrees because they fell into that COVID window. There's no reason for you to get through a COVID window and not have a degree. There's just, you went to school for 5, 6 years, you better have a degree.
Yeah.
So we'll help them do that as well.
Wow. So it's very wraparound and holistic as far as you're not just looking at, oh, just play sports. We're looking at the whole person and where are you going to go? Where's your future headed?
Yes, yes. And we say we're a family. We're with you for life. We want to be at your wedding. We want to see your kids born. We want to, most importantly, see that gold jacket when you get into Hall of Fame. So all of those things, we're with you for life. And that makes a very important relation. It's very rare for players to stay with their agent their full career,
Mm.
but the good ones do.
Helping players develop a brand. How do you go
Mhm.
about understanding a player to help them develop their brand?
Ooh, we do a deep dive. So we have about 150 question document that we go through with each of our players that tells us really about lifestyle, personality, and from that we can assess and say these are the kind of things that we want to build for them. So we start building that along the journey when they're in their season, before their season. Our goal is always to get them either to NFL Network, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, some type of articles to kind of start building their brand before the draft even happens. And we've been successful at that. And then from there, we try to get them that first summer to do something very committed in their local community that's around what they want to do. And then from there, we try to get them even more global or international focus. So it's more building their brand out. We like to build it what I would call from inside out, inside being their local communities, all the way until the national, even global community. We have a player right now that is the World Vision Canada ambassador. And he goes over to Kenya every year to work with the women and the water whales and everything. So he's been doing that now for the last 3 or 4 years.
Wow. And I saw that you worked with Xavier Smith.
Yeah, we work with Zay in the 2023 draft class.
Yeah.
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 He's
Wow.
doing a good job. He's doing a good job with the Rams. I have a passion for HBCU players, period. Starting with our 2020 draft class, 2021 draft class, we started representing at least one HBCU player all the way through. My very first 90-man roster player came from North Carolina Central.
Wow.
And our what I would call our I say our baby, he probably killed me for saying that. But our rookie this year is with the Commanders, and he's from a HBCU. He's from Jackson State.
HBCUs all the way. I went to Benedict College, so I
Okay,
know about
okay.
HBCUs. So
Yeah, we've had them. We had North Carolina Central. We represented players at Valley. We represented a player at St. Aug, Fayetteville State. Yeah, we've been around. North Carolina Central, FAMU, Jackson State. Yeah, we had Alabama State. Man, I got some. I got some.
what's been your most pivotal, if you could think of your most pivotal business decision that you've ever made?
Terminating the contract of a player.
Mm,
We terminated the contract. I'm about loyalty.
mm.
This relationship is loyalty. And in that situation, this particular player contacted another agent. Now, what is interesting about our agency community, we talk. And they'll call and say, "Hey, your player contacted me. Just want to know what's going on, or are you aware of something going on?" They will talk to agents. They don't keep it secret because there's something called tampering. And so if they feel like you will push a charge of tampering, they want to make sure they had a conversation with you so that you don't take their license. And so in this case, that agent called me and said, "Hey, your player's calling me," and was kind of vetting what you were doing for him. And I told him, "Hey, she's doing a pretty good job for you, blah, 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 blah." He said, "I'm not going to sign him, but I wanted to let you know, hey, hearing everything you did you did a very good job with him." I called him and I said, "Hey, we've been working together. It's been great, but I'm gonna have to terminate your contract effective today. So you can go seek addition, representation. And he was just in shock. And I told him, because this relationship is about loyalty. This is about me trusting you. And I can't have a player that's going to be going behind my back vetting things, because it also decreases my value as an agent, because now this is amongst my peers. And so I think that was a very critical, he didn't go anywhere. So that he didn't end up getting the opportunity. But when you terminate agency in the middle, you don't have advocacy anymore. That was a tough one, but I did it. And he, good kid, but he just made just a fatal mistake with me on loyalty.
Yeah, not recognizing the family value you had there, because I'm sure in that realm there's a lot of snakes and a lot of people that are just out
Oh, yes.
themselves.
Yes. We live in a business where players only last 3 years on average, right? So who do you think the front office is going to have loyalties with longer? They're going to have loyalty with that agent. I live in this industry a lot longer than you. And so when the front office or scouts, they realize there's some kind of issue of loyalty there, that's it. They kind of say something about you too.
Don't want to burn your bridges too.
Don't burn bridges, my God.
Can you share a failure maybe that you had that actually taught you something important about business and actually helped you along the way?
Oh, so many. So many. So many. I think as a new agent, oh God, I got a lessons learned log. Um, I think choosing the right player is very important in what you invest in them. And what I realize is a lot of people are in love with being a football player, but they're not a football player, if that makes sense. So they don't put the hard work, the grit, the leadership, when no one's looking, what are they doing? In any business, it's always choosing the right customer base. And so I shifted what my customer base looked like tremendously. I look at certain characteristics before I actually sign them now,
Hmm.
where I didn't at first. It was just like, oh yeah, you're interested in me, I'm interested in you, let's go, right? But now it's like, yeah, are you a captain? Do you have production? How's your injury record? What do the coaches say about you? What do at least 16 different teams say about you before I sign you? It's just learning the right customer base. I think number two would be understanding that in this business, you have a fiduciary duty to the client only. And what happens is clients are surrounded by uncles, aunts, cousins, moms, dads, girlfriends, right? And they also want to talk in the business as if they're the client. So because these are young men, you're often helping them get their own voice. And I'm a boy mom. So I learned this so that I can apply it to my own life, that parents can be overly aggressive on their children. Why? Because they love them so much, and they should love them so much. They want to advocate for them. They want to stand in the gap for them. But in this business is for grown men. And so now you have to trust your raising and allow them to use their voice. So now I'm very passionate about being careful with what is shared with who about a player, because at the end of the day, the NFLPA holds me accountable to the player only.
I think, a lot of times we just think that, oh, yeah, you got the talent. I should get the deals. People should want to work with me. But what about your other value that makes you someone that someone wants to invest that time in?
Do I even like you, right? Because I can't work for you if I don't like you. I've had players talk harsh, or not prospective players, you know, talk real harsh to my support team, right? Or I don't want to tell you that. That's none of your business. And I can't sign you, because in here, we're family. All of it's our business. Just tell me. We have, once again, a fiduciary duty. If you kill somebody, I need to know, right? you
Have you
know,
ever had anything like that come up? Tell me
not
some
kill,
crazy
not
stories
kill
now.
somebody. No, not kill somebody. But I've had some. They've shared some horrendous stories, right?
Yeah.
And things that maybe even, unfortunately, their parents don't know about,
Hmm.
because they don't want to hurt mom, or they don't want to, whatever the situation is. So I think they grow, it's a special bond with an agent, because It's like I tell them I'm your psychiatrist, I'm your medical doctor, I'm your, I'm your attorney. Like, tell me everything. And
Mm.
I've heard some stories.
You don't have to give no names, all right? But what has been maybe the craziest story you ever heard?
We always use this as an example when we were doing our intake with guys. I had a player. I had a player and we kind of asked a question like, is there anything out there that you would be embarrassed of and that could come back, right? And so when we think about embarrassed, we give examples like, hey, sharing photos of yourself, inappropriate with other people. And is it something you would be embarrassed of? And he was like, yeah, yeah, I sure fish. And I was like, okay. He said, but I'm not embarrassed of that. I'm proud of it. And so we were like,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah,
like, well, that's something you should be embarrassed of. That could come back. And he
yeah,
was like, I'm not embarrassed.
yeah.
so we so we always use that story because he was like, I'm not embarrassed.
Oh man.
Um, but we've heard about surprise children people don't know about. Just getting caught up with predators because
Mm,
there is predator behavior in their DMs a lot, and things happen. Our team is very good with non-disclosure agreements and just making sure they're trained and protected in whatever they do. But there's a lot. Oh my God, there's so many stories that
yeah,
every single one of my players has shared some stuff with me that I'm like, okay. But
yeah.
it helps you to know them
Hmm.
and what they're thinking and what they went through because it may be something they just need to get off their chest.
With the internet, they gotta especially be careful now. These
Man,
young, especially coming out of high school, they need to have like some kind of class to teach these kids what not to do on the internet.
yes, yes. Don't, be careful what you say, be careful what you tweet, be careful what you text, everything can come back to haunt you.
I'm a therapist, so I've worked with
Mhm.
kids and grown-ups too, but I've worked with kids a lot. And
Mhm.
one of the things, talking with young kids who want to go into the NFL, they want to go in, they always say that, what do you want to do when you get over? I want to be in the NFL. I'm going to play basketball. Or I'm going to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be an influencer. You know what I would ask them is, what are you doing today to do that?
mm, yeah.
What are you doing? Do you study? Because I also look at guys, I ask them, like, what percentage of time do you spend studying film? Right? What percentage of time, how do you take care of your body? When do you do your workouts? Oh, I only do them at school. Oh, with everybody else? Okay, just so you know, any NFL player is not only doing a workout at school, he's doing a workout at home. He's taking care of his body behind the scenes. He's not letting you know everything.
Hmm.
But that is five-star high school players are doing things outside of the norm.
I'm happy you said that because the kids that I know that will watch this, I want them to hear that coming from you, who's worked with NFL players.
Yeah. I always say you gotta do things different to be different.
Yes, yes, that's
That's it.
saying. Excellent saying. What
Mhm.
advice would you give to someone who wants to go into a field where they are underrepresented and
Mhm.
they want to be a leader in that? They want to be like a CEO. They want to do something. They want
Mhm.
to lead it, but they're underrepresented. So they look in there and they're like, oh, it's kind of intimidating. What advice would you give to a person like that?
I think the best advice I would give to them is that you stand on your work. You will be surprised how all the exterior kind of sheds when people know what you have inside. I always have been a person who defined myself by my work, and I would always say, "You won't outwork me. You will not outwork me." So that was my affirmation to myself that I would not be outworked. I will be the best, and I would define myself by my work. So a lot of people go in saying, "Oh, I'm the only woman. Oh, I'm the only black person. Oh, I'm the only Latino person. Oh, I'm the only white person." That doesn't matter. It's what do you bring to the table? And my work has always defined me. So do the work, and the respect will come.
What's that? There's a scripture. What your gift will find you, or something to that effect.
Yeah, your gift will make room for you.
There we go. Your gift will make
Your
room.
gift will make room for you.
There we
It will
go.
make room at that table. People will part way. Yeah, get out the way. I'm up in here now.
You are the president of a sorority.
I am the past president, the immediate past president of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Do not be phased by the green. I represent the blue and gold through and through.
Mhm.
But yes, I'm the past national president for Sigma Gamma Rho, and I was the chair of the council of presidents in 2022 for the full council. That's all the D9 presidents.
Do you have family members who are also in the sorority, or what got you?
My grandmother is my paternal grandmother is a Sigma Gamma Rho, but that wasn't necessarily why. I just became a Sigma Gamma Rho because they were distinctly different. They didn't really rely on the shield. They were innovators, trailblazers, founded by 7 school teachers. The only organization founded on a predominantly white campus, sorority founded on a predominantly white campus, and so I wanted to be a part of something different. And Sigma Gamma Rho is very different and very distinct from the others.
You helped raise $1 million for St.
Yeah,
Jude?
we raised $1 million for Saint. We gave $1 million gift to St. Jude Children's Hospital ahead of schedule. We have our graduate school lounges named after us. I have my name on the wall on behalf of my sorority at St. Jude in their hospital. Signed the beams for their new building that they're going to put up. So, and I'm also on their board. I'm on their professional advisory board as the first African American woman in the history of the hospital.
Wow.
So I love St. Jude. So
Wow.
donate to St. Jude.
What's next for Rasheeda?
So Lady Lib Sports has, first of all, our organization, I look at us as an organization of maybe 10 with our extended view of our PR and branding team that we have as well. And so we want to grow our agency with new agents. We just signed a joint venture agreement with an agent. So he's going to come in and kind of work with us. He's our first male to work with us. And we have a goal, a very aggressive goal in the next 3 years to have 5 draft picks. And so, in order to do that, we have to go about it very aggressively, and that's what we continue to do. I want my guys that are currently playing to continue to do well. We represent CFL, UFL, NFL, and I am okay with that right now, but I do see us becoming a full service, more focused on NFL as we grow into the future.
What role do you think innovation and technology will have going forward, like in the near future?
You know, AI is getting smart. How AI gets smart is what we call machine learning, right? It's learning it's pulling sources from everywhere, right? So, what I've learned recently, and we put something in AI and we said, here are the guys that we're looking at for 2026 draft. Who has the best opportunity to make the NFL and why? We just did it as a test. And I mean, it ranked them. It said, this is why this person doesn't have this person has that. It's a guy that was like him in the 2024. I was like, oh, this is really good. So what people have used in scouting analytics, like there used to be scouts manually doing stuff, looking up, researching players and doing, they don't have to do that anymore. So I feel like in our industry, the scouting industry is going to decrease. It's already happening.
Wow.
It's already happening. Now you still got to look at tape. I don't care what. There's a lot of people that are a lot of hype and they get drafted. I was actually looking at something like this last night. A lot of people 18 teams cut their draft picks last year. This September. I'm saying their draft was this April.
Hmm.
And 18 teams cut people that they drafted in April in September on the first deep cut to
Wow.
get to the 53-man roster. So that what that tells me is a lot of people that have been hyped up
Hmm.
and they couldn't play. So I think you still need the eyes, right? And I think that will change the scouting organization, but it's also going to make us more or help us to be more targeted
Hmm.
towards guys that we want. Like I know I want a very specific person, and God gave me this person. He's in my head. I don't know who it is, but I'm telling you what. Like when I put on paper the makeup of that person, and I put it in AI, it gives me the list of who those people could possibly be.
Wow.
It's crazy. So
Wow.
I think it's becoming easier for us to know who to go see.
Man, that is something else. I didn't even think of that. But
Hmm.
that's gonna, of course, the scouters are that's gonna decrease that. But also, like, there's a lot of people that kind of make their way into those fields from other means. Guess maybe they were a likable person or whatever, but
Hmm.
all that's going to be cut out.
And you may say, like, I want a team captain. I want him to be a receiver. I want him to be 6'2" or heavier, or 6'2" or taller. I want him to be 200 pounds or less. I want him to be able to run a 4.4 or have run high school track. And I want him to be from Houston, Texas. It's gonna give me that person.
Mm,
It's gonna say, based on everything you said, it's this person.
wow.
So
Wow.
it's almost like you can prototype AI.
Wow.
And teams will be able to do the same.
Mm.
Give me every single defensive tackle that had 5 sacks or more this season.
But that makes me think about this too, though. A lot of times it comes down to your grit too, in the heart of a person too. So you
Hmm.
might have all the physical attributes
Yes.
and all these type of things, but what about you can't AI? It can't. Can it, man? Can it see?
No, it
Yeah.
can't. It can't. And that's where I said you got to turn on the tape. And what I tell players when they go into their last season and we have our collegiate meetings in Texas, you can have athlete agent meetings. In those athlete agent meetings, I always say, be careful what you do in every play because the scout is looking at how you walked on the field, how you walked off the field, how you put your hands on your hip in between out of conditioning, how you took a knee on a timeout, how they're looking at how you slammed your helmet down, how your coach tried to tell you something and you walked off. They're watching everything. Fans, friends, and followers like highlights. The scouts like to see the full game. They want to see the whole picture. And then they're going to go talk to the coaches, the GM of those schools. And then they're going to go talk to the kids at the schools. They're going to watch you go to your car and see who you're dapping it up with. They're going to see how you pulled up and how you were late or were you ready. They're paying attention to everything. You still want the leader in the room.
Hmm.
And I also tell guys this. I said, are you the leader of the team? And they'll say, no, I'm not the captain. And I'm like, I didn't ask you if you was the captain. I asked you whether you the leader of the team. Because somebody else may be named captain because it's political. But are you the leader of the room? Do people look to you or are you kind of like in the back? You're not the guy I need.
If you could go back and talk to your younger self, what's some advice you might give yourself, or would you give yourself any advice?
I would say take more chances. Don't be so black and white by the book, so rigid, but just operate more in the gray. It's okay. I would have told myself that a long time ago. I'm
Yeah.
there now, but it took a lot of life lessons and bumps, right? But just operate in the gray. And I think the other thing is knowing who your provider is. Back to what I spoke about earlier. My provider is never going to leave me. He brought me this far to leave me. That just it doesn't. I mean, people say it's a song, but it's serious. Like, would he bring me this far to be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just gonna release a hedge on you and just watch what happens. No, that's not how God works.
What's some actionable advice that you give to someone who's trying to start their own business?
Mm, I would say think about the 5-year plan earlier. Like I said, I feel like I was one of those people who just baked a cake one day. Somebody liked it, and then a couple more people asked for a cake, and then all of a sudden I'm a baker. It just happened so fast. And we just sat down and kind of went through our strategy and said, now we kind of took our bumps and lumps, but let's look back, the lessons learned, what's our strategy, what's our approach, what's our goal? We kind of laid it all out. What did we invest? What money was foolish money that we could have had right now? And I think I wish I would have done that earlier. Just laid out what the plan is and build that budget and build that player prototype instead of just taking people that absolutely had no opportunity to go to the league.
Who inspires you and keeps you going when things are uncertain?
It's not a person.
It's not. Yeah, that's what I feel like you gonna take me to church. Tell me now.
It's not a person. On earth is different than in heaven, right? But I
Yeah.
definitely rely on God. But I realized that God puts people in my life.
Hmm.
And I would say my husband has been a great encourager, supporter. We are one. So the covenant is there. I think number two is going to be probably my business partners because they're like, you got this, like we got this, because sometimes it gets discouraging when you are trying to keep young men happy, You're also trying to keep the business, the front offices engaged. It is tough work. If people think that you can just be an agent on the internet, it don't work like that. We post stuff on the internet, but our work is very aggressive for hours a day, hours and hours a day. Weekends and nights are a hustle, but there's always something going on, whether it's a text, an email, a phone call. There's something going on that somebody on our team is handling.
How do you get away?
Ooh, okay. So I like to travel, and I travel primarily for work, but I do like vacation. I like to journal. I like to I like to have my massages. I look at that as maintenance, to be honest. When people say, "Oh, well, I get my nails done or I get my hair done," we supposed to do that. That's maintenance. I'm not saying that everybody has it. I'm not ignorant enough to say everybody has it, but I do realize that that's to me like maintenance. But I do like to just veg out. I like vacation. I like being with my friends. I like brunches. I like to just have a good time too. I like to live life big. Somebody posted something today that said they posted 20 cities and said that most people, a small percentage, have been to every city. I looked at all the cities and I was like, I've been to 19 of the 20 cities, right? 38 of the 50 states and 6 of the 7 continents. So I do enjoy that travel piece.
Where's the most recent place you've traveled to?
Oh, out of the country, I would say the experience that I'm living with the most is Ghana, Accra. Went to Ghana. I loved it. I loved it. I just loved it. I was like, man, did I love it. I want to go back. I definitely want to go back. But I promised somebody I would visit. I promised someone I would visit them in Senegal. So I got to make my way there.
Okay, all right. I think was it French is over there, right? Yeah, you got to speak French.
Yes, yes, yes.
How would people contact you?
You can contact me on IG, Lady Lib. That's with a B, as in boy, Lady Lib 1922, and that's the same for X. And we also have our website, ladylib.com. And if you go to that website, there's a form that you can fill out for a contact. It's like a contact us form. If you're interested in representation, you have a player you know of that's kind of coming through the ranks on the collegiate side, we would love to be able to look at them and track them and possibly look to represent them in the future. So we're looking for those people that are looking for good, strong, high touch representation, not to be with the crowd, but to be very uniquely focused on. I've seen way too many times players just go to these big orgs and they just get swallowed up, and most of the time they end up back at home. So we're not that way. We're going to keep you working.
Make sure to like and subscribe.